it's time to bring on our guest. You want to play that video of our guest, Mr. Ed Namrok?
Here we go.
Whoa, what the fuck is this? And you know what's fucked up is the song was over and they cut to a fucking commercial. So they never announced the fucking name of the band. I went to school the next day going, whoa, dude, I heard this fucking song. They kept saying, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And they're looking at me like, you just discovered one of the best upcoming quote unquote rock bands of this generation. And no one was really into them because it was kind of cliche to be into this band. I'm getting into this band now. That was Rage Against the Machine's debut album. The one with the fucking Vietnamese Buddhist monk in Saigon fucking self-immolating himself, basically pouring gas and burning himself. My mom heard this and she thought for a fact, she's like, wait a minute, this is much worse than the music you've been listening to. Why do you want me to buy you this? She heard the articulation and the clarity of the words, especially when he was saying fuck, shit, all this shit.
And that was our guest, Ed Namrok. Hey, from the Ed Namrok podcast.
What's up?
That was some good fucking shit right there, Ed. Let me just add to that.
I was hoping to not offend anyone, especially Dana. I know how Dana can get a little.
You're good.
I'm just saying.
When I get on the dirty stuff, it's not the cussing, it's the dirty stuff.
It sounds like y'all been talking about me.
No.
Thanks for having me on.
No, he was just worried, by the way. Yes. Yeah. He was just worried that the F words might offend you. That's all.
Offend who? Not me.
Oh no, me.
That's all. He was just trying to be respectful and was just trying to get what we might think. That's all.
Ed's been watching our show and catching who does the fucks. So
I'm running really late, but I have to ask Dana. Please don't hate me. Please don't hate me. But what's with the good times JJ has?
Oh, because I'm like every woman in America. When the hair has to be done, you got to put a hat on. Like that's really it. Like when it's time for the hair to be done. So we're all, I like. So here's the hair. We just got to go. We got to put this is the hair.
That's right.
So here's the hair.
That's right.
That's the hair. And so the hair.
I did my beard yesterday, so it came from Jeff Bezos as well.
Yeah.
Ed,
like you just have to, but I have to give my hair a break, and then I have to add my other hair, but I got to give this a little, a little.
I like that. I love
it. It just kept thinking dynamite every time.
Right.
I
Classic. Like I'm definitely a kid of my era. 70s bucket hats are everything.
Oh no, I love those hats.
They're coming back.
Right.
Yeah, they're coming back.
And I'm leading the charge right here.
Denim is sexy.
So Ed has the Ed Namrok podcast, and he does this like at 10:30 at night usually. When I'm up doing dishes to get husband points or some shit like that. He's doing the Ed Namrok, podcast. He has some interesting, guests on there. The other day he had DJ Styles who was talking about getting shot. So that was fun for a guy like me who, you mean there's guns in your neighborhood? What is that like? And so Ed, tell us, how long have you been podcasting? What made you do it?
2012 I started, so it's been approximately 8 years already.
Oh, damn.
And initially, so check this out. Initially, what I started doing, unbeknownst to me as a kid growing up in LA, I would always walk around with a talk boy. Do you guys remember that?
Oh yeah, from Home Alone 2. Yes,
it's a portable recorder, Dana. I don't know if you remember, but I would always interview people just for fun, just good times or whatever. So I have a bunch of archive tapes. So I started there. Fast forward, I go to audio school. Me and Dan are kind of on the same geekiness of audio. We call it audiophilia for lack of a better term, but it started there. I was inspired by, of course, Mr. Joe Rogan. He started doing it on this thing called Ustream and Justin TV. Mm-hmm. And I started doing it. Then Adam Carolla followed suit, followed by what's his name? The guy that plays Silent Bob again, Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
So I've been doing the freestyle thing for a long time. I mean, I'm also a musician too, but it started around 2012. I didn't start taking it seriously till about 2013, and the technical aspect of it I already knew. The content aspect for me, it just comes naturally because I can. You're talking to a guy who sold cell phones at those kiosks. You guys remember those kiosks?
Oh man, screw you guys.
For about 10 years. Oh, but I reeled you in like, fish out of water. I just got you.
So you're why you would tell me like it's only $5 more a month and then be like $50. How dare you, Ed?
It would be 35. 35.
You're the
You
guy.
don't blatantly lie, you stretch the truth.
I signed up with Singular Wireless in a mall. And everybody knows Singular is now, got bought by AT&T, but I still
That's
have
what I used to work for.
Right. And I signed up in a mall kiosk, and I remember like they were like, we got to run your credit. And I was like, okay. Roll of the dice. But I still have the very same phone number from whatever that year was. I want to say it was 2005 or whatever. I got that cell phone.
Wow.
Singular. I still have it. It's so funny that you say that.
I hope I wasn't the one that sold it to you.
It was a woman. I remember there was a
vulture.
But it was give me their phone number. I can tell. I was like, you were a Singular customer, because all of us who were Singular customers, we all seem to get numbers from the same. Like our first 3 digits are the same. And I was like, you were a Singular.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's just a weird thing. Like, I'm a numbers person. Everybody knows I'm a numbers person. Yeah.
Oh, what's funny, there was a certain prefix that a lot of people liked at the time, and it was the 323 and the 213 numbers. It was 450.
Okay.
And it was the 326 numbers. I remember that vaguely. I don't know if you have one of those twos, but we're not giving away your number at public right now. So
like I have 323-633, but I have met other people with 323-633, and I'm like, you guys, we were all Singular people. I already know what y'all were doing, and then it's just a thing. But you know what, Ed? Funny you mentioned the talk. I've never heard of it, but again, I've had enough birthdays. I used to record people on cassette. I have tons of cassettes around from my music days of like interviewing music artists and whatever. And then digital, like when they digital recorders. So I definitely feel you on. I've never heard of a talk boy, but I know exactly what you're saying.
Well, an early inspiration of mine was Arsenio Hall. I don't know if that's before everyone's time. So
very much.
So Ed, what topics have been the most popular for your show? What is what are the people tuning in to see on the show?
Me reacting to different things on Twitter, politics, of course. Most recently was Black Lives Matter, of course, because I went to 2 rallies back to back, and of course music stuff. A lot of people like to cover music, which is totally fine with me because I've covered everything from the 2 Live Crew, infamous As Nasty As They Want to Be cover, and the entire album to Slayer, Rain and Blood, because that's, growing up in LA, that's all I've ever, it was either gangbanging or music. That's pretty much what you had to choose. So, but most recently, what I've been noticing people want to know about is the propositions. The California proposition. So I did a podcast covering all that, and I broke it down, and I think Dan tuned in for the entire thing, and he's like, man, thank you for covering that. That was so helpful. I was trying to be so nonpartisan with it, but there were just some propositions that just hit home for me, and they're very personal. I'm just like, oh, I gotta say something about this, because Dana, I consider myself a political orphan. That's really what I am. It's like the left-right paradigm to me is my 2 divorced parents, and I'm the child that's suffering because they're trying to fight over custody over me. That's basically what I feel like. Yeah.
I saw that you had done a show on the propositions, and I think that's super powerful stuff. Like, I've always been into voter education, even since my college days, and being in California and you guys, you probably know this, Ed, but like, there is no other state in the union that is as savvy and as involved as people here.
Absolutely.
And it's possible for you to stand in front of a grocery store and get people to sign so that you can get propositions on a ballot. And like, that doesn't, I think that the opportunity exists, but no one in other states rather takes it. And I lived in DC, I lived in Louisiana, Georgia, I've lived in all these places. never. And I just thought it was very powerful because that's what we all need to be able to decipher and understand what a bond is. Because I've had college teachers to say this is what it's going to be. The kids are going to pay that back. So whenever you see that, just know that if you're saying yes to that, you're saying yes to debt for your children. You're saying yes to debt.
Correct.
You know, and I'm there. Anyway,
California has always been the poster child for grassroots campaigning, grassroots lobbying, grassroots protesting. I've never been more proud of my state. I know it's a little messy right now, but we're going to clean it up. Everything's going to be fine. I'm one to not just bail like all these people moving to Texas.
No, because then you got to live in Texas.
It's like I have a little more pride than that of my state. So, and you know, I love my state, and there's a reason why people move here because the weather's great. So,
hey, what do some people joke about? They say it's especially certain men. They say it's like divorce because it's expensive because it's worth it. I guess.
Hey, we're having a divorce party.
I am vacationing, but I'm not really vacationing in Virginia right now. It is so humid. It is so humid. It feels like a freaking sauna right now.
What does it do? What does that do to a woman's hair?
I don't care. Well, luckily, I won't have a problem with it. I don't know if anybody else will, but my skin is awful right now. And you know what?
So it's a skin thing. Okay.
Not only that.
And swamp ass too. Probably get swamp ass.
There are, ew, you nasty. But
ain't my balls anymore.
Mosquitoes everywhere, and like I'm getting bit like no other, and I'm apparently delicious. Like I'm like going to cut my sugar because I really don't want to get bit anymore. Like the sprays aren't working anymore.
But
it's the gin.
And then humidity, like in New Orleans, it's bad too. And I lived in DC a couple of years, it's bad. So your hair is frayed. Like I am I've never had straight hair, so I don't have that issue. But it does, like, even if you have curly hair, you go from
I have curly hair,
to big high volume to like this kind of whatever. And you know,
man, I would pay dearly for that one.
Right. Like everybody, like, you know, in New Orleans, girls would they would wrap their hair and come to school in a scarf, and I'm sure they do it in DC and in Virginia as well. You wrap your hair until you get to school, and then you take your hair down.
Wow,
it is so hot. I feel like this is what men feel with their. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I am sweating everywhere, drenched, and I'm like, I hate this. I really hate this. Why am I outside? Like
it's like a really bad Disneyland trip.
Ronnie.
And this is how my hair. Look at my makeup, okay? This makeup was intact a couple of hours ago. I look gorgeous, okay? I was in fucking model a couple of hours ago. It's gone.
Yeah.
You know, after some heat and humidity, a lot of us guys look like just a grandfather clock with a pendulum swinging. So.
Oh my Lord!
Hey, Ed, you know, we've gone through only a couple questions, but we don't have too many more. But one more. You and I were once talking. You got any negative experiences with podcasts? You know, any threats, anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. yes, I have.
Come on, tell the people.
Well, usually because, especially when it comes to the politics stuff, I get attacked a lot by my leftist friends and my right wing friends as well. So it's like I'm not Democrat enough and liberal enough. I'm not conservative and Republican enough. I'm just like right there. I'm just like, okay, the best analogy I can use is the word Chicano. So Chicano, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Selena with Jennifer Lopez. So the dad, Edward James Olmos, is like, we have to be more Mexican than the Mexicans. We have to be more American than the Americans. It's exhausting. So it's like, it's a rock in the hard place. I've had people call me a sellout. I have people call me a Mexican Uncle Tom, this and that. And I'm like,
I'm sorry, you can say, what's a Mexican? What is that? What is that? What is it? What people say that? What is that?
Uncle Tomas. It's Uncle Tomas.
Yeah, Uncle Tomas. It's basically selling your people out in a sense where you have whitened your approach.
No, I get it, but I didn't think, like, as someone who grew up hearing Uncle Tom often. We know that it comes from Harry Stowe's story, Uncle Tom's Cabin. I had no idea that in Latino culture, that people. I figured when I said what is an Uncle Tom, I figured you were going to tell me like some other completely different name. You're just saying that you guys generally say Uncle Tomas, like you don't have like some other. I thought there was some other word.
Uncle Juan. There you go. Nate hit it on the head. There you go, Uncle Juan. The other term we use is cactus, nopal, and that's a very, very like direct term. Like like nopal. You walk around and you're preaching whatever you're preaching, but yet you look in the mirror and you're still brown.
No. Sorry, I'm gonna correct you because I run into this issue all the time. Okay. Apparently, I'm a coconut. I'm brown outside, but white inside. Okay. That's how people refer to me.
When we say Oreo, you guys say coconut. We say Oreo in the African.
I've heard several times. Yeah.
The same way, but
and I'm probably doing myself.
You have the perfect. Ed, you have the perfect way to respond to this. You just say anything for Salina.
Well, I know in the Asian community they say Twinkie. That's for people who aren't Asian.
Glow, what is pocha? Yeah. I've heard that so many times. I've even gone to a restaurant that has really great margaritas called pocha. Yeah. What is pocha? I honestly
to me it sounds like another euphemism for a part, but but I'm a really white guy.
You know what? I'll give you the African American comparison of a pocha. It would be Wayne Brady.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes. My people love him.
No. Right.
Yes. It would be Wayne Brady.
And because
I don't get it.
Well, because most people like Paul Mooney, the great comedian,
I love Paul Mooney.
Enough respect because he's he's got a pretty dark past, but
he keeps it 100.
Yeah, he's a great comedian.
110.
But he like a few years ago, built stage time off of beating the shit out of Wayne Brady in terms of not being black enough, and not, and just being an absolute sellout and absolute just over the top. I feel like if there was ever a place where I had issue with Paul Mooney, that would be it. Because I was because again, then it becomes the fight. And I don't know if you guys, again, in the Latino community go through this. There's a point where you will say, okay, you calling somebody a sellout, but it just means it also sounds like that being broke is how you stay woke or how you stay current. And you're mad at somebody because they've done what they had to do to make progress for their family and for their pocket. And I don't know if there's a point where I don't know if you just have to keep calling a sellout, because the other side of it is, so then somebody like they used to all before Kanye kind of, I guess, went wherever he went, there's the 5% movement, but there's they used to call Kanye, Talib Kweli, the backpackers, all Erica, but all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was this idea that if you were down, you didn't really have anything. So I love Paul Mooney and so much respect for his brilliance, but I feel like I kind of had a little issue because you're kind of going in a little hard on the brother.
Yeah.
Well,
he goes hard in the paint 100% though. That's just his style. Right. But I mean, pocha, it basically means Mexican born here. And sometimes sometimes a friend of mine speaks his Spanish very pocho, meaning it's very choppy, not very fluent. Mm-hmm. That was my first language, so I speak it fluently. I don't speak Castilian Spanish, which is the British rendition of Spanish because it comes from Spain.
Okay,
do this a lot.
The Castilian Spanish.
Castilian.
Maybe that's exactly what I am, but here's the crazy thing, and this is what I will stick to. Guess who was the interpreter for their parents, okay? I was the one that read the bills. I was the one that had to learn Spanish in order to help my parents, okay?
So true.
Which is so dope.
Suck it. Call me whatever you want, but at the end of the day, I know Spanish and I know English. Even if it's a little choppy, it's sexy.
I'm going to call you Stacey.
I want to shout out. We're gone from the Wayne Brady conversation, but I do want to shout out Ronnie Schooner. How do I say Ronnie's last name?
Schoonover.
Scoot over. Thank you, Ronnie. Great shout out because in response to all of the Paul Mooney shit, Wayne Brady did go on Chappelle's show, and I forgot about that. That was like,
That's one of the best.
Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?
Yeah,
that's
and I forgot that shit was funny. Like I felt like that was. I felt like you could not have had a better. If anything, Paul Mooney set him up for a great comeback. Paul Mooney set him up for a great way.
Hey, Dave, get in the car.
And Chappelle, I forgot about that. Ronnie, thank you.
Eat your sandwich, Dave.
Yeah, don't make me bust the cap.
So here's the thing: is that Ed, when I originally talked to him and about what you want to do on the show, he goes, "I want to do a little bit of a reverse interview on you guys."
Yes.
And he's got a question or two. It depends how many we get to that he wants to ask us. So what's your first question there?
Well, this is kind of like a very thought-provoking question I'll ask each one of you guys. What is the wisest thing you have ever heard someone say? Kind of like, whoa, like that moment.
I want to answer this one. I want to answer this one. Okay.
All right.
I was dating a cardiologist, and if you don't know, it's a doctor for your heart, right?
I'm sure you didn't say proctologist.
I thought it was a dermatologist.
So we were in bed and we were chilling, and he said, it's really easy to kill somebody where they don't bleed. And he explained it in complete medical terms.
Oh, I gotta go, guys.
I was like, what in the fuck?
You're so romantic, sir.
I was like,
frickin' way.
And the worst part was, I was like, that's so sexy and scary at the same time.
All right, I'm feeling you. Keep going.
I was like, break it.
And that is the wisest thing I've ever heard someone say.
You're so hot. He's like, you want to know where I hide bodies? Oh, yeah. Tell me.
That's hilarious.
Dating a serial killer. Oh,
right.
God, but it's so sexy the way you said it. Oh, God, I'm going to fucking die here.
Right. Are you gonna
He's a keeper, as Nick says.
That's where I go, I forgot something in my car. I'll be right back. Just fucking drive off, dude. Where's she going? Oh, she'll be back.
Anybody else got something they've heard someone say?
I thought we were all answering the questions. No?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Like open it up to the next.
I was gonna say one of the things that I had on my wall for the longest time is a quote by a gentleman named Horace Mann, and the quote was, "Be ashamed to die until you've won some victory for humanity." I really like that one. A lot of my buddies really hated it. I'm serious, man. They'd come over to my dad's house and see it on the wall and be like, "Well, I got to put that on the wall, bro. I just want to live. I want to live, bro. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure."
Wow.
I'm like, yeah. So?
That's deep. That is deep. If I come in your house, I'm like, hey, so what's up with that quote right there, man?
Why are you putting pressure on me, man? I got enough pressure.
Yeah, man. How much time I got here?
That's what the cardiologist said.
What do you got there, Dana?
I know. I think it's a powerful question. Like, because in my head, I was just like I've read so many quotes and quotables. Like, and if you start, like, John Coltrane has this, but all of a sudden, like, so when you say what is the wisest thing I ever heard, I feel like everybody has all this great stuff that has a great edge. Mine is kind of like solemn. So I heard someone say once that cost is only an issue in the absence of value.
What?
And so mine needs all this context, right? Because I thought we were doing something different. Because otherwise, I just would have come on my John Coltrane. Anyway, so because when you're trying to sell anything, people will only have an issue if they don't see the value. And so when you're like, so it was just this idea, because I had always when I was in college, I was like the person on the student government who like put together all of the homecoming concerts and all this stuff. And it was always interesting to me, like people like, we should have so-and-so. And then as soon as you say, we're going to have this great artist, and then you tell them the ticket price, Well, they only got 2 songs. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, because all of a sudden now we've got to put a price to what you really think about it, and that's going to tell me, the value. Like, but if you're saying, oh, I'll pay X amount of dollars to see so and so, that means you've placed a value. So cost, when people get ready to spend money, there is only an issue about cost depending on what the value is for them. If they see that it has value, because you can. I'm just trying to think of anything that we all think is some crazy price, but like
Mulan, $29.99.
Right there it is. That's a great one. Like, so if that is a value
Just say 30.
Yeah, like, so if that's valuable to you, then you're not going to have an issue with that cost. But if you're like, I don't really like that, then you're not, that's not going to be your thing. And I just think when you put it that way, it puts everything into perspective.
So what was that? What was the value they sold you on at Singular Wireless, Dana?
First of all, man, I was sweating, hoping that I had good enough credit to get a cell phone. let's just put it right there. And in that moment, it didn't really matter what they said. The fact that I was okay, because at that moment, like, I had cell phones and shit had gone left and right in life, and I couldn't seem to like afford one. So this was a moment of fucking truth, right? So, like, we were getting ready to go on me and my son were getting ready to take a bus ride from California to Arkansas. So I needed to have a right, and it was humiliating to be a grown one with a child and not have one. So she could have, I mean, there would have been, just to your point, there would have just been a price that would have been out of the range, like more than what I could pay. I would have, but up to that point, whatever she said was going to work, because as long as we had credit to get it.
Just to add very briefly, okay, the new Mulan movie brought back Christina Aguilera for the Reflection song. Basically, this is the remake to Christina Aguilera. She just added a little more like that's the only
she did the hand movement too.
Yeah. Like the note is like
Yeah.
Okay. That
that's so good.
And I was like, I'm not watching Mulan anymore. After I saw that, that's basically what they're gonna do to the movie. It's just
her Pee Wee Herman thing.
So funny. Oh my God. I know Dan's got an answer. So I did not, like, I was not today years old, but like I was like, so Christina Aguilera is like, when she first came out, I was like, is she Latino? Like, this is like, I'm just kind of like, her hair is so blonde. Like, this is someone, trying to open up to all culture and understand. But like, did people speak negatively of her from the Latina community for the blonde hair because you don't, other than seeing that name, you don't know. Like, at least I'll say this, I didn't know, and I'm talking about the beginning of her career, not now, but
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it's her dad that's Hispanic and wasn't really involved in her life, and she's never really owned up the Hispanic part to it. But in reality, though, there's actually like full Mexicans that have either really, really blonde hair and blue eyes, or are ginger and have green eyes. Like, I made that mistake a couple of times. I've come to realize, don't do that anymore. But yeah, there are people that are actually Mexican that have incredible, like, you would never guess that they're Hispanic. So
got it. These were questions in her early career, I think she's talented. It still wouldn't make me pay for Mulan, but I do think she's gifted.
I heard the video unintentionally, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not getting Mulan anymore."
I mean, I want to see it.
There'll be a Reddit stream somewhere.
There's no Mushu.
To watch it for free.
Why would I want to pay to watch Mulan without Mushu?
That was a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, I want to show my daughter, but I'm not paying $30.
Well.
You can do what my dad did. Just go find the guy that sells the bootleg version.
Right?
just
like $5.
Just set up the Fire Stick and you're good.
Have been closed, okay? It's not in theaters, so it's gonna be pirated somehow.
Fire Stick. Just said it. Just get the Fire Stick.
What were you gonna say, Dan?
Oh, nothing. I'm waiting my turn.
I can't wait for his reply.
All right. My turn. This is for evangelicals who think that Trump is Christian, and for QAnon supporters. It's from Mark Twain that says it's easier to fool someone than to convince them they have been fooled.
Oh, that's so good. Yes.
And that's because humans are prideful, people, and they get into their own beliefs and stuff, and then it's like, yeah, but what did you base that off of? Was there like any honest evidence or something? Shut up. That's how it becomes,
you liberal.
You liberal. The funny thing is I took the political test that you took a long time ago, Ed.
Yeah.
And it told me that I was like super libertarian left.
Yeah.
Which is funny to me because there are I have talked to certain left people on certain things and they think I'm conservative. It's like, wait, but you didn't ask me about universal health care and subsidized college and all the other things. It's like, why don't you talk? Why do people only talk about the things they want to disagree with? It's like, that's about it. And it does seem to be that way. Like the most vocal people on many sides sometimes tend to be, they tend to only want to talk to people about something so they can own that person and then post it to Facebook. I owned a lib today. And it's like, the tough thing is I think that your political preference is not a choice, just like your sexual preference, just like a bunch of other things. You're just born with that, and what appeals to you. And if you're an politically orphaned person, that's because there's stuff on both sides that appeal to you, and there's stuff on both sides that do not appeal to you, and that's why I understand that, bud.